Hey guys, Heather here from Tye-Dyed Iguana, and today we're going to talk about what you should look out for when you're picking out your new pet reptile or amphibian. So basically what we're going to talk about is some of the issues that you need to look out for as far as health and behavior goes for these guys, to make sure that the next time you pick out a new reptile or amphibian that you get a really healthy one. Now the first thing that you're going to want to look at in these guys is their activity level. Now a healthy animal will be alert and active. If it's a diurnal species during the daytime, you want one that's bright-eyed, alert, running around. These guys are just basking, so they're just fine. But if you see an animal that's acting listless or lethargic or just laying on the ground, like if one of these guys was just laying flat on the ground and just not moving or looking really tired, that would be something to look out for. But these guys are all doing great. Now for nocturnal animals, that's a little harder because during the daytime, that's when they sleep. So yeah, you're just gonna have to get them out and to actually look at them because they'll probably be sleeping. But for diurnal animals, it's pretty easy to tell. Now, another important thing to check for is their body weight. You don't want an animal that's too skinny or way too fat, because there is such a thing as obese animals. Now I'm going to use the leopard geckos as an example. They're really good to tell if they're a good weight by how fat their tails are. If their tails are nice and plump and fat, that's a good sign that they are a healthy leopard gecko. Now if one of these guys had a tail that was pretty skinny in comparison to its body, really bony and stuff, then yeah, that would be an indicator that they're not so healthy. But yeah, these guys, it's pretty easy to tell. Now, with other animals that aren't leopard geckos, what you'll want to look out for is whether or not you can see their spine, whether or not you can see their ribs or their hip bones. Pronounced hip bones, ribs, and spine, that's all a sign that they are very underweight. So that's definitely something you don't want to see, either with these guys or with any other animal, including frogs and stuff. So make sure that everything is filled out nicely. So another thing you guys are going to want to check is their eyes. You'll want an animal that's got nice clear eyes, not cloudy or anything, except if you buy a snake that's in shed, it will have cloudy eyes. However, you don't want one that's not in shed to have cloudy eyes at all. It could be cataracts or an infection or something in there, so you don't want redness or discharge or anything. So eyes are a very good indicator of health. Alright, so another thing you're going to want to look out for in your new reptile or amphibian is their skin health. You want to make sure they don't have any open cuts or wounds or abrasions, any type of lesions or tumors. That can be all indicators of an unhealthy animal. This guy right here, if you notice, some of his scales look a bit rough. That's because he's actually shedding. So shedding's just fine. Their skin can look a little bit different when they're in the process of shed. But that doesn't mean that they're unhealthy. That means they're going through a good shed. Now, one thing for snakes you'll want to look out for, especially if you buy like wild-caught snakes, is you want to watch out for little black mites. A good place to look for those are the base of the tail at the vent, and also like in the underside of them. That's where most mites hang out most of the time if they have them. And also under their chin. And you kind of got to stretch that skin between their jaws to get a good look. Yeah, if you see any moving tiny little black spots, that's a good sign of mites. And you definitely don't want an animal that has mites because they spread like crazy, and you do not want that in your collection. Now, on frogs, as far as their skin goes, these guys are important to check for any type of sores or nose rub. Sometimes they can get little bacterial infections that cause them to get some pretty nasty sores, and that's definitely something you don't want in your new amphibian. And you want to make sure your animal has a healthy appetite, like this white street frog here. He's so happy about eating that he fell off the branch and is hanging on by his two hind legs. Oh, there's his butt. Oh my goodness. Healthy appetite. Yes. Now another thing you want to check is to make sure that they are breathing well. Now for snakes, this is really important because if you see a snake that is kind of breathing with its mouth open or whistling or whatever, and you probably will see a little discharge with it too, it could possibly have a respiratory infection. Now some snakes will breathe through their mouth when they go into shed because it's a little rough on them and their skin's all tight and everything and they have a little bit of trouble, but you usually don't see them breathing with their mouth agape. Now with bearded dragons and stuff, they will often bask and gape while they bask. So if you see one with its mouth open under the hot spot, you don't have to worry because that usually means that they're just basking and they're not breathing weird or anything. But if you do notice a lizard like a bearded dragon really having a struggle to breathe, with its eyes closed, flat on the ground, and really heaving and wheezing, that is a bad sign. And as you can see here, all of our snakes are doing really good. Nobody's got their mouth open or anything to breathe, so they are a-okay. Now the last thing on our list of things you should look out for is how they move. Now you want to look out for an animal that's either shaking as they move, or wobbling, or stumbling, falling, anything like that. That's something to look out for. Also make sure that they can move all their limbs. If they're limping or something, that's a bad sign. And for arboreal species like this panther chameleon here, you want to make sure that they can climb well and that they don't fall from the branch, that they've got a good strong grip. Now when you're looking at chameleons, if you notice one that's having trouble hanging on and its limbs are swollen, that's actually a sign of metabolic bone disease, and you definitely don't want one that has that. So just make sure that they can grip well, they don't fall when they climb around, so that's a very good indicator. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video about what to look out for when you're picking out your new reptile or amphibian. And we'll see you all next time.